videos are for educational purposes only. I'm not selling anything or promoting the sale of vape products on this channel. You must be of legal vaping age 18 to 21, depending on where you are in the world, to view this video. Sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy the content.
How we doing, guys? Welcome to this week's live stream, episode 41. Thank you for joining. Who have we got? We've got plenty of people in so far. Thanks for joining. I appreciate you all. Thanks for joining. So let's have a quick look. So let's have a look at participants. So Alexander Vape, thanks for joining, my brother. And C, thanks for joining. Godfather. Dion, thanks for joining. Mike Frost, the Snowman, thanks for joining, my brother. Johnny D, thanks for joining, my brother. Dion, thanks for joining. I appreciate you. I'm just trying to see now. Anybody else? I know there's some people in. You might be lingering. I'm just making sure that I haven't missed anybody. Nick as well, 420 the Kid, thanks for joining, my brother. I appreciate you joining as well. Let's have a look. So yeah, I think I've mentioned everybody in chat. There might be some of you lurking about, so I appreciate you joining if I'm just in the background and shit. So I do appreciate you. Thanks for joining. How's everybody doing? How's your week been? What you doing? What you vaping on? What you drinking, if you are drinking anything. Let me move this across here. Get that plugged in. So guys, like I say, how's everybody doing? What's everybody vaping on? I'll start with my buffet and we'll go through the comments as they pop up and as I see them as well. So if I forget, I apologize. Just re-comment and say, look, I've missed you. And that's not a problem. I'll give you a shout out. So, still on last week's build, the Cleto 120 and the Wismec 300, J-Bow and Wismec RX 300 on the Cleto 120 with the RBA deck, still with the last week's build in there. That's going still nice, still flavorful. I haven't really put it down, to be fair. It's been on my desk. And in that, I do have Kingston's Brownies and Cream. Now, it's not the best brownies and cream, but it tastes like brownies and cream, just like brownies and cream. Nothing special, but it's nice. My top favorite at the moment is Dubai Custard from Fugly Warrior. Where are we? I know you have. I know. I know you have, my brother. I'll get to that Only Vapes thing in a minute. So there's a bit of an update, so it's not too bad. So you're making some Blue Raspberry Lemon Clouds, Dead Rabbit V4 RTA, and the Street Kitty. Yeah. So where are we? Dion vaping on the Dwarf MTL Dicodes Mini Mod with some Golden Virginia tobacco. Sounds good, my brother. Andy C. Just getting through to, oh, wow. Back on the big hog. Hope you're feeling better, my brother. Hope you're feeling better. 250 apples and custard. Baked. Apple bacon custard, sorry, yeah. That sounds delicious, that, Andy. And Alex, yeah, you're vaping on the Bonza Copper and Nightmare. Yeah, I will show some of your pictures very soon. So yeah, that's what I'm on there. So I'm on the Bonza with the stack mode. So everybody knows last week about Only Vapes and everything, me licking my mod and everything, receiving a current. Now, seeing as I'm slightly new to Sidefire, I've been educated a bit. I've had a chat with few people in the Faz's Coil group, spoke to Sam, spoke to Aaron at Thunder Clouds, and it's just a bit of science, guys. Now that I've been educated, and it is human error, I always say it could be human error, and what it is in hot weather when you've got sweaty hands and stuff, your body carries resistance and a bit of current. So hence why I was getting a bit of current from a top cap on my thingy, but past couple of days it hasn't been that warm here, so I haven't been sweaty or anything. I haven't even noticed a current, to be fair. Even when I touch it now, there's no current. There's nothing there. So it's a bit of a science there. If you've got sweaty hands, that's why I was getting a current. So if you're feeling a bit of a current or nothing at all, don't worry much about it. It's all good with the mod. It's nothing major because, like I say, it's not warm, not sweaty. I'm not getting nothing. So in that, I've got some Seriously Slushy, Raspberry and Tangled. This is really nice at the moment. And I've got a fresh build on here, something I were messing around with a couple of days ago. Let put that up there. There we are. So that's what I've got in there. What build this is? This is a 6-core 32 gauge wrapped in 40 Alien. A bit like inspired a bit by Handsmade Coils, their multi-core thin gauge wire in there, and that's what I've got in this turnstone at the moment, and that's ohming out at a dual coil at 0.37, and that's a 3mm ID with 8 wraps on there. Even with sweating, yeah, exactly. So like I say, some people might have everybody's different, and like I say, I'm not feeling anything now. So obviously I was charged that day. That's why I was feeling a bit of current. Some other people were suffering from the same thing. So I can only say that's what it was. So yeah, that's what I've got in this turnstone at the moment. And yeah, it's really punchy, very rowdy. Like that, and that is beautiful, and that's banging out some right flavour. I've got the airflow wide open. I might actually turn that down just a smidgen. I'm gonna do it with 2 airflows down because I haven't really closed down the airflow since I've had these coils, so that is better. A lot more toastier as well. So if you like a nice hot build, something that I'm testing that might be added to the menu, or coils that can be tailor-made. But yeah, that's my buffet at the moment. So let me get rid of that. And we're back. And for my drink, come on. There we are. So for my drink tonight, I've got one that I've had before or featured before on my live. And it's a Vault City Lil Tropic, which is a bit like a lilt, basically, if you're familiar with lilt. So yeah, it's a bit like a lilt there. Try and get rid of that glare there. 4.5%, very fruity. It's a sour, which I like. If you know me by now, you know I like my sours. Nothing special with the glass, just the normal glass that I use. Both being in the freezer today, so nice and cold. Let's go in for the pour. So boom. So cheers, guys. Everybody that's joining, hashtag replay crew. Appreciate you all. Cheers. Hope you've got something nice to drink. And like I say, it does really taste like a lilt. If you've ever had lilt, which I think is owned, is it by Fanta now, I think, lilt? But yeah, it tastes exactly like a lilt with some sour notes in there right at the end, which I think will go really well with the raspberry and tangerine juice. So I'll pair it with that. It's not probably going to go well with brownies and cream, so we'll go with something fruity. Oh wow, yeah. Yeah, that really brings out the pineapple and the tangerine and the juice in that. Really nice. And brings out the right soury notes with that. And here we go again with the nose. So I'm just going to just pause my mic, guys, because nobody wants to hear that. And I'm back. So Alex, you're drinking a Cola Zero. Cheers, Dion. Thanks. Appreciate that, my brother. So, like I say, the build that I've got in this is a 6-core Alien. So 6 cores of 32 gauge. It's a mixture of wire because I don't have 32 gauge in NI80. So it was Kenthel that I used. So 6 cores of 32 gauge wrapped in 40 gauge, which I want to do a bit of a play on now with tonight's build. I want to do a 6-core 30 gauge interlock. Hopefully, I've been struggling with interlocks at the moment, but hopefully, depending on how it goes, we'll see how it goes. But I have been struggling a bit, but I wanted to try 6-core 30 gauge interlock Alien tonight, which I will be putting on an RDA, which I will get to very, very soon. I'll show you what I'm building on. So that's basically what I'm going to do. I've got a few preparation thingies here, some couple of decors of interlock, so I'm not messing around in case I mess up the first wrap or the first bit of wire that I do. Got a couple to fall back on there. So where are we now? So we'll go with some pictures. I've had some pictures obviously in the group that I've had permission to obviously show. So we'll go first with Alex. He's on his Bonza, so I've got a little bit of a picture playlist here of some pictures he shared in the group that he's given me permission to show. So let's have a look. So this is him getting his brand new copper Bonza Pro mech. So here's a shot with the RTA. I don't know what the RTA is, Alex. Can you tell everybody in chat what that RTA is? And then we've got one here with the QP Designs RDA on there. Another RTA purple one. Just there. Looking really good. One topped with an Asgard. One with a Nightmare, which I think he's currently running, I think. Is that right? That's the Reload. And there's another one with a Nightmare on there, I think with a different beauty ring, I think. And there's them side by side with a sidekick just there. So yeah, looking very, very good. Very, very nice. Thanks for sharing those with us, Alex. And we've got one from Johnny here. This is what he shared in there. His Street Kitty box mod and some Karaoke Ice Edition there. Some Endo on ice. Now that's a company that I do want to actually try. Karaoke, I keep forgetting. I'm one of these that I'm always on the lookout for mechs or old school mechs and stuff like that get priority over everything. So it's definitely something that's on my radar to try, hopefully before October and stuff like that. But yeah, that's one from Johnny D there. And here's one from Dead Node, which I thought was really, really cool. So if he's in the chat, which I don't think he is, that mug is awesome. Looks like he's got a swordfish there, blacked out one there. I'm not sure on that RDA though, the RDA, and then he's got a side by side just there. Some other people might be able to help me out with what these are. The one on the right. Not really a side by side person, but I think I might need to get one for the collection maybe, just so I've got a side by side in my collection. So yeah, that one's from Dead Node. And these were sent in for me today. This is from Dan, aka Sharpshooter on Instagram. He got some aliens off me. and he did some photography of them. So I'm just going to share them with you now. So this is what he sent me. So look out on his Instagram. If you don't follow him already, give him a shout out and go follow him. It takes some amazing shots of coils and mods and stuff like that. So yeah, this is what he shared with me today, and he said I can post them and show them on. So these are my aliens, my 3-core aliens, 26, 36 gauge aliens. So a couple of shots there of them on the Asgard. You get that because of the cute kitty. So there we are, just there. There's some with a bit of colour on. There's some different stages of the colour on there. So that's one. Here's a close-up of that. Yeah, definitely cool pics from AK Sharpshooter. It does some amazing pictures. And to actually see that they're actually my coils is unbelievable. Yeah, it's weird seeing people post about my coils. There's some more of a nice blue colour just there. A bit of a close-up just there. And I think there's just one more just there. Yeah, Johnny does some amazing photography on everything he does on his channel. And I think that's it, guys. So if you're in the group and you want to share some photos and stuff of mods or whatever, or some pictures of coils, doesn't necessarily have to be my coils, just some pictures, that you would like me to share on the live, yeah, definitely post in there and get them thinking. Just let me know that I can use them for my live, so I know I've got permission, because stuff in there I won't just take out of there without your guys' permission. So like I say, I've been given permission to share those, so that's what I've shared. So what box is that, Johnny? The kitty one, Alex is asking, which one's that? Or what type of box is it? Oh, it's an Aspire one, is it? Wow. I don't think I've bought anything from Aspire since probably the Cleto, to be fair. Cleto 120 is probably the last Aspire product I bought. And I do have a box mod, an Aspire box mod just there that was given with that bundle that I showed a few streams back. It's getting a bit dry. Put some juice in that. Right, guys, so let me swivel you around, show you what I'm going to be building on, and then we'll sort of get on with the build, and I'll go into it in detail, because like I say, there's a bit of math when you're adding and taking away wire to what wire you do your D-core off. So you might have to do it off a different size wire, which in this case I will have to, but that will all come into play when I start getting into the build. As you know, I will show you close-ups when I need to and go through it bit by bit. So let me just swivel you around, guys. I hope you're not dizzy. There we are. So, boom. Let me get you about there. Or should I say about there, because I end up wandering off on the edge of my bench just there. So I'll put you about there. Make sure Henry is doing as it should be doing. Oh, wow. Might have to take a look at that. Now, I can't remember if I've used this before on one of my lives, but I thought I hadn't used it in a bit, so I will. So this is the Ocular, and where are we? So it's from Twisted Messes, and is it is it? Let's have a close up, because I know it says there on there. So Twisted Message and RetroVapes, yeah, RetroVapes made this one. So it is an authentic. Nice little close up there of you just there. Sort of like a snake bite airflow on there, both sides. 24mm, I believe, in diameter, not 25. 810 drip tip there, and the deck. So the deck is in two pieces. So the deck is in two pieces. You've got your barrel section, which has got a sort of like a bit of a curve just in the center there, just you know where the airflow is, about that sort of depth. There's a like slight curve there. As you can see, it's not quite straight, just there. And then you've got a top piece just there, which controls your airflow. So there is, oh, there is actually, sorry, I stand corrected. So there is a single coil option as well as dual coil option there. So there is a slight more cut out just there for if you want to run it in single coil there. So one side will be open and one side will be closed. Coco, it's okay. Coco, chill out. So as you can see there, airflow open on both sides there for your dual airflow. And then let me just check there. So yeah, so when you start adjusting just like that, you can cut off that airflow just how you want it, like that. And what's done on one side is the same on the other side. And if I just open that up slightly, so is that it? So there we are. So there's your single coil option just there. So that upside will be blocked off and that side will be open. And I'm assuming you dial it in on this side, yeah, to cut down if you're using it in single coil mode, but no. I want it in dual coil mode. So pop that on there just like that. So that is the top cap barrel, slightly conical near to where the airflow adjustant is there, so it should help with flavor. You've got two indents on each side where the top cap will sit, but then you can adjust the top cap depending on where your coil are, so your airflow is sitting in front of that coil as well. Especially when you're cutting the airflow down, you can still adjust your top barrel in front of your coil, just like that. So there we are. There is the deck. So it doesn't look that deep, but it is deep. A nice deep juice well just there. This sort of clamp design just here on both sides. So both your leads on each side is sharing the same post, and it acts like a clamp system like this. Now the only thing that I didn't like about this is it clamped down your screws at the bottom, because you will have to put just a slight longer leg just so you can lift them up slightly, just so they're above that airflow just slightly. But yeah, I would have liked the holes just a bit higher, or maybe they're screwed at the top part of it just there. This is Dion, this is the ocular. Yes, it is, Alex. I don't remember actually what year they came out. Just give me a quick second. Just a quick check. So the ocular came out 2019. This did. The ocular by Twisted Message and RetroVapes. This came out. So yeah, and as you can see, you've got your two little notches on each side of your deck, just there, and that corresponds with those two notches just there. So that little rail there, and the same on that side, that corresponds with those notches just there on your deck. Oh no, it's not older, no, but it is 2019, so it depends. You could say it's slightly older compared to all the stuff that's come out after that. John Boy, thanks for joining. John, yeah, drink. I have got a drink. I am drinking sort of a little Tropic from City Vault. Is it City Vault? I've only had 2 sips of that. Flipping out. Vault City, City Vault, Vault City. But yeah, that is the deck that we're going to be building on. So yeah. So I'll get to what I'm going to be putting it on after I've done the build and I've got it all set up on the RDA. Now I have changed the O-rings on this. These are the O-rings that came with the RDA, because the O-rings that came with the RDA were way too stiff and it just, top cap just ended up chewing on them. So in my box of tricks, I fished out a couple of O-rings from a completely different RDA and tried them, and it's a lot more easier to get your top cap and deck together without chewing up those O-rings just there. Hawkstone? John? You mean the turnstone? Or the Hawkstone? So that's what I'm going to be building on tonight, guys. So let's get you set up a little bit there. So Nightbot as well will be doing their rounds. So let me get you about there, so you can roughly see what I'm doing just there. Oh no, I haven't. No, I haven't got one of them yet. Are you, John? I don't drink lager. You know I don't drink lager. I'm more of a sours guy. So as you can see there, I do have 2 other interlock decors just there. So I've got a couple to fall back on. So because I'm using 6 30 gauge cores, 6 30 gauge cores, you need to do your decor of a different size wire. So like I've mentioned before, if you are doing just a normal standard 3-core alien, doesn't matter which gauge wire you are using, whether it's 26, 28, 30, 24, 32. If it's a standard 3-core alien, you do your decor off the same size wire. But when you're adding wire and taking away wire, you've got to do your decor for slightly thicker wire to accommodate for that slightly wider surface area that it has to alien around. So when you're taking away a wire, you need to do your decor off a thinner wire. When you're adding a wire, you need to do your decor for thicker wire. So the way it roughly works math-wise, every wire you add, you go down 2 gauges of wire to do your decor off. So if I were doing a 4-core alien, a 4-core 30 gauge alien, I'd do my decor off a piece of 28. If I'm doing a 5 30-core alien, I'd do my decor off a piece of 26. So because I'm doing a 6-core alien, I want to accommodate for that space, and I want to do my decor off a piece of 24 gauge wire, which I've already got here, because like I said, I did a bit of preparation for in case I mess up, because I am struggling at the moment with interlock aliens. So like I say, I wanted a bit of wire just to fall back on if I mess up. so I'm not making loads of decors on camera. So that's what we're going to do first. We're going to sort out our interlock decor and then get our wire set up for wrapping, if you understand what I mean. Now, I will sort of like tell you what I'm using, but I won't go into detail. If you're new and you just want to know what I'm using, let me know and I'll go into more detail. But yeah, basically, I haven't got anything professional, stuff that any ordinary person can start doing and using, and cheap enough to do. So I haven't got some fancy rig or anything. I just use simple tools. So I use this little table here because I like my wire to be more or less eye level with me. I normally use a Daedalus Pro drill, but since last week's I've got a proper drill now that I got cheap off Marketplace and it's brand new. And it's nice and fast as well for if I'm doing stuff like now when I'm doing decors. With that Daedalus Pro, it did take a bit of time for me to get a decor done. So hopefully with a bit more extra speed, I can cut that time down just a little bit. So I normally clamp this down in 2 places now because it's a bit more rocky and hasn't got a flat surface. So I use my normal bench clamp to clamp this side of the drill just down, making sure it's nice and tight and it's not going to move around while I'm doing my wire and stuff. And then I use this little small one to tie this end of the drill because as you can see it moves and it's a bit floppy. I just tie that down here with this one, just here like that. Like that, and then that just locks that drill in and doesn't go anywhere. Make sure it all spins, which it does, which is perfect. Yes, it is a lot quicker when, especially when I'm doing decors for stuff like aliens and stuff, but I still like to try and take my time as well because I'm still getting used to it being faster than that Daedalus Pro that I've been using. So yeah, it is a lot faster. It's fast on its lowest setting, but on its highest setting it spins round like wow, really, really fast. So like I say, just a normal style drill. The only thing that probably most people won't have is a flat chuck, which is what I'm using here, is a flat chuck. If you're using a drill like this with a normal chuck, if you're doing multi-core aliens, just bend the legs out and trap them in each of the jaw of the drill and you should be good. So normal swivel setup, I've just got a bench vise clamp here with 2 pieces of wood, which I've had to do slightly different because I'm using a different drill. But same sort of setup with the swivels. Use good swivels straight off the bat because if you use cheap ones, you're going to just keep on buying. So I use these Cedra dual rotating swivels, stainless steel ball bearing swivels. Don't use anything less than ball bearing swivels. And these spin on both ends of the eye as well. And I have a couple of them on there, so if one fails, the other one picks up the slack. Never really, if you're using it, use one swivel, because then if it messes up, then your whole build will mess up. So let's get on with our decor. I will be using these goggles just so I can see the wire a bit better. So I'm going to be using 40 gauge as my alien wrap. So Johnny, I got this flat chuck just here from France, from Handy Coil Factory, and from in France. So for me to buy it and have it shipped to the UK, it cost me 27 quid. But I think this cost me, I think 21 quid just for the chuck, and the rest was for shipping to the UK. But it's all metal. It's not 3D printed in any way. All this is metal. And as you can see there, it's a flat chuck. So like for instance with this build where I'm using multi-cores, I can put them all stacked next to each other nice and fine and clamp it down on a nice flat chuck instead of a normal drill chuck. which can be a problem sometimes. So because I'm using 6 core wires of 30 gauge, I need to go down 3 times 2 gauges, which is 24 gauge, which is what I've got here, a piece of 40 gauge. So I'm going to get that into my flat chuck just here. And it does have a center little crease in there. So if you're using just one wire, which like I am now, it will sit in the center. I do have an L in there. That just makes it easier for me to mount my wire when I'm doing my decore. So I'm just going to pop that in there. So this 24 gauge that I've got here is just normal Kenthel wire because I don't have 24 gauge in NI80. But if you're doing stuff like 24 gauge, you can use it. You can use any wire, Kenthel, NI80, stainless steel, and what have you. So I've got that in there now. With that sticking out, I will get you in close when I need to get you in close, guys. So swivel time. All I'm going to do is I'm going to thread this end into my swivel like that, bend a piece over just like that. Gaming Vapor, thanks for joining, my brother. And then I'm just going to wrap that around there just to lock it in. So I want a decent amount of tension on there, just with a bit of looseness in there, which is perfect. So let me just, if I can get you just here now. So you see how I've locked that in? I've just threaded it through and then wrapped the end around the end of the wire just there like that. So let me get you to this end of the drill. Like that. So you can see that one here just there. Hopefully just there. Trying to get you as close as possible so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to do some manual focus just so you can see a little bit better of what I'm doing. So about there is where I need you, so you can see the wire just here and what I'm doing. So as you can see, I've got this bit sticking out just to mount my wire. So like with any other alien, when you're doing your decore, doesn't matter if it's normal alien, interlock alien and stuff like that, you need to wrap it the opposite way around to the way you feel comfortable doing your final wrap. So I like to wrap it over the top of my wire when I'm doing anything. So I'm doing my decore from underneath. So depending on what side you got your drill, it depends if it's clockwise and anti-clockwise. That's why I don't use that term. So because I like to wrap stuff over the top, I'll be doing my decore wrapping from underneath. So you want to do it the opposite way around. Now, if you're opposite and you like to wrap from underneath, do your decore from over the top. You just need to do it the opposite way around. Don't do it exactly the same way. Your final wrap's going to be turning. So with an interlock alien, it's basically 2 parallel wires side by side making a Clapton. So because I don't have 2 spools of wire, obviously I can't do that, and I don't want to waste any wire. So what I'm going to do basically is I'm going to Clapton a certain amount of wire, or about half of the wire that I'm going to need, and then I'm going to force fuse a second wire into the first wire that I've got. And as I'm force fusing this end of the wire, so I'll make a little thingy. So say like I do the first Clapton just to here, I'll stop there. That'll be sort of like half my wire. Then I'll force fuse another wire into it, and as I'm force fusing, this wire will move along and give me my final result of wire that I need to make an interlock. But like I say, I will show you close up of what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. So Like I say, I'm using 40 gauge and it is Stealth Wire NI80. So nice thin wire. So be very, very careful because it can stretch and it can break at this thick thinness of wire. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to just feed my wire from underneath the wire like that, and then just lock that in around that piece that's sticking out there. Just to make it easier as well. If you've been in some of my other live streams, you know sometimes I've forgotten to do that and I've had to end up mounting it just here on this screw here, but it just makes it easier when you do it this way. So what I'm going to do, just to help me out with that force fuse, I'm going to do a wrap and then just do like a little spacing just there. So when it comes to force fusing the second wire, it will just slide in between that wire perfectly. So I use this drip tip in the center of my spool. It just helps it flow round easily. So I'm just going to do a wrap, make a little space in there that you can roughly see just there. And then I need round about 33 centimeters of decore. So what I'm going to do roughly is about 16 centimeters of decore for my first bit of wrap, and then force fusing another 15-16 centimeters will bring that final wire up to that 32 centimeters in total, if you understand what I mean. Yeah, well, it is pretty complex. This could go completely tits up because, like I say, I have been struggling with interlock aliens. So 90-degree angle as normal. If you mess up and go back on yourself, just undo it. It's the only part of the alien that you can reverse and do and correct yourself. So we'll just get that off there as well because I will need that shortly. So now I'm just basically doing a Clapton. So hopefully the microphone is doing its job, grounding out the drill. But yeah, I'm not holding the spool very tight because obviously I want that decore to slide. Off that core wire. So if you get a bit of spacing in it at this time, don't worry because that force fuse will take that out. So hopefully, it sounds like Chinese. So hopefully my microphone is doing the job drowning out the drill. So when I get off camera, I'm not going to move you just to make it easier for when I do the force fuse. When I start doing the force fuse, I will move out so you can see a wider shot of it. But at the moment, I'm just doing a normal Clapton. Do it. It's very fun to do, Johnny. It's very, very fun. So like I say, I'm not going to move my camera because I'm going to leave it here for the force fuse on the second one. But like I say, I'm not holding my spool very tight, using that drip tip in the center just to help it roll a lot easier. So here I'm just wanting around about 16, 17 centimeters of wire, maybe slightly extra than that, just to take into consideration a bit of recoil once you snip that end. But yeah, let's get going. I'm just going to have a quick stop and a quick measure. So I need a bit more. And it's always better to have more than have less and need more. So I need slightly a bit more, about another centimetre. Give that a quick measure. That is perfect. So now that I'm halfway down, or halfway, I've got half of the wire with my first bit of Clapton there. So like anything else that I would do, I'm just going to cut it and leave a tail on there. Makes it easier when it comes to the stretching. There is a bit of recoil just there. So I'm just going to go for just a quick final measure, which that is perfect. So now that I've done that bit of Clapton, yeah, it's perfectly fast, this drill. I love this drill, and for the price, you can't go wrong. So now that I've got my first bit of Clapton, which is half the wire that I need, now I'm going to force feed the other wire through it. So again, just like the first wire, I'm going to mount it. I did leave a slight space just there. I will get you in close actually, so you can see it. Will this work with my lens? Which camera is it? It's that camera. Just see if I can make this a bit better. So let me go to that camera and move you across just there like that. I know this looks fuzzy at the moment, guys. I'm just trying to get you a nice close look. So let me get a bit of manual focus going on here. So I need to get even more closer. So you see there where I've got a slight spacing just there at the beginning. I've got slight space in there. That's where I'm going to so there we are. Just a little bit of space in there for me to put my force fuse in there. So let me get you back to where you were now, which is about there. Come on, Henry. I need a different one. There we are. So let's get as clear as I can for you. There we are. So about there is as clear as I can get. So roughly you can see there's a slight spacing at the center. So this is basically what I'm going to do now, is force fuse this other wire straight through it. Come on, Henry. So grab my 40 gauge again, spinning it the same direction you were originally. Keep spinning it that direction, the opposite way around. You don't want to change your direction, force fusing your second piece of wire. So I'm just going to grab that here. And again, I'm just going to mount my second force fuse on there as well. Just to get that locked in as best as I can. So now what I'm going to do is that little spacing that I left at the beginning, I'm just going to rest this wire in that spacing just there. And I wasn't locked down properly, so let me do that again, guys, because I've just pulled that off. So there we are again. Sorry, I've nudged the camera. So there we are. Try again. So again, I'm just going to pop that in between that spacing, just there. And then, like I said, same direction, just going to do a few wraps just there like that, just to lock that in. So as you can see, as I go now, I am force fusing in between this first wire, just here. So as you can see just there, it's force fusing between that wire. There we are. So what I'm going to do now is get you above like that so you can see. Not a problem, Alex. Thanks for dropping in, my brother. See you very, very soon. So now that I've zoomed you out, get that autofocus off there now. So the end of my other wire is just here. So you'll see this move up as I'm force fusing this wire. So let's get going. So I am getting to the end just here. I just want to poke that leg on the other piece just out so it doesn't catch when I get to the end. And they just need to make it level really with the other leg. Like that. So once you're level, as you can see, I've got nice long one piece of interlock alien decor just there. So I'm just going to pull that out. Again, I'm going to leave a leg on it. Just makes it easier for stretching. Just like that. With a little tiny bit of recoil as well just there. So take into consideration you are going to get a bit of spring back. So just do like a centimetre or centimetre and a half, just slightly more than what you would normally need, just to take that slight spring back into play. so you don't end up with less wire than you need. So let me just, so there we are. That is moving. So I'm just going to have a quick measure of what I've got here. And that is just more or less bang on perfect for how much decore I need. So now I'm going to decore it. I'm going to slide it off. So let me just get you about that. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to just chop this wire here at the end. And then very, very carefully, holding it right at the end, just carefully slide this interlock decore off. Very carefully, take your time. There we are. And that is your decore just there. Your interlock decore is a bit wiggly because of the tension on there, but that will straighten out when it comes to the stretch. So yeah, that is your decore, guys. So like I say, 6 core. Want to do it off a bigger piece of wire, 24 gauge, which is what I've done just there. That will not get wasted. It'll get used in something else. Let me just check the comment. So Gamer Vapor, Hunky Vape stream on the same day. I didn't know that. Yeah, Gamer Vape, it's been doing quite well, to be fair. I mean, I'm doing better than I thought I would be doing. I've got quite a few pre-orders for abroad, as well as people that have been buying in the UK. So yeah, going really well, to be fair, my brother. I normally do put a link to my Fuzzy's Coil group, which I will actually put in just now. Join it, even if you're not buying coils, my brother. We have a nice time in there, and we have a bit of a chat, share coils and old setups, and it's just a nice place to hang out, as well as people wanting to buy coils off me. So I'll just put a quick link and pin it. And then you can just click that link and join the group. Like I say, it's not just for buying coils. You lot can have a chat and stuff. It's a nice fun place to be as well. So I'll pop that in the chat, and then I'll also pin it as well for anybody else that wants to join. There we are. So now that I've got my interlock piece done, which is there ready, now let's set up the cores. So like I say, I'm going to be using 30 gauge cores, and I'm going to be using 6 of them. So I roughly want 6 pieces of about 27 centimeters of wire, which works out at around about 10.5 inches of wire. I need 6 of them. I'm cutting myself plenty off, obviously, for chuck and swivel and stuff like that. I always like to have extra, rather have more than less and need it. So I'm just going to pull some wire off and stretch it a bit, just so it's nice and straight. So I've got 6 pieces of wire, and then we'll get set up. But again, it is stealth vape wire, 30 gauge, NI80 is what I'm using here. So NI80 is a soft wire, so you should be able to just pull at it and it'll straighten. You just want a slight tug. You don't want nothing major. You just want to give it a little tug so it gives a bit. Once it gives a bit, you've got a nice straight piece of wire. So I'm just going to quickly measure out roughly 27 centimeters. Doesn't have to be bang on, but just want to be thereabouts. So like I say, 27 centimeters, roughly 10.5 inches. Give it just a slight tug. Like that. that off. That's my second piece. Making sure I'm not forgetting anything. No, I haven't. So like I say, roughly, yeah, about for the type of build that I'm doing now, for any sort of coils that I'm doing, this diameter and wraps, I have sort of like a rough idea of how much wire I need, and it's what I tend to keep to as well. So that's 3 pieces, so I need to pull off another 3 to make the 6 core, and then we'll get set up again. Again, just a little tug until you feel a bit of resistance from the wire, and then that'll make it nice and straight. So that is my 4th piece. Get another piece just there. Measure it out roughly. And one more makes 6. So there we are, roughly. Give it a little tug just to straighten it out. Like I say, you just want to feel just a slight resistance from the wire. Don't stretch it too much, because then you'll drastically change the thickness of the wire, stretching it too much. And that's my 6th piece just there. So appreciate you all that's here and still here. Getting a little bit warm. Let me just stick this aircon unit on. There we are. Have a quick drink and a quick vape. So interlock decal there, 40 gauge off a piece of 24 gauge. So like I say, normal 3-core alien with 3 wires. Do your decal off the same wire. Every wire that you add, go down 2 gauges to do your decal off. So 30 gauge for a normal 3-core, 28 gauge for a 4-core, 26 gauge for a 5-core, 24 gauge for a 6-core, which is what I've done my decal off. And that's any gauge wire, just go down 2 gauges from that wire. So if this was 20 foot, if I were doing a 6-core 28 gauge, I'd be doing a decal for a piece of 22 gauge wire, because you'd go 3 wires down from that one. And I really hope I'm not confusing you guys. It's a nice drink. So again, on the turnstone with that 6-core 32 gauge, Kenthal and NI80 40 gauge. That's just a normal alien that's in the turnstone. So this one I'm doing with a different cores, but I'm doing an interlock. Excuse me, guys. So I'm just going to carefully pick up all my wires. So I want to first make them all level, so I can do that with my fingers. I also use my bench just to make sure they're all together like that. So basically you want them like that, all sitting next to each other, just like that. And that's the beauty as well of having a flat core. So just so you can roughly see what I'm dealing with here. So when I turn that round, this chuck opens like teeth, just like that. So when I put these in now, they will all sit nice and flat. So now that I've got them all side by side, I'm going to place them in the chuck. So this, I'm going to center this off as best as I can. It has teeth as well in this chuck as well. So it's good for clamping down on those wires. So now that I've got a bite on it, I'm just going to lock that down. Carefully now, I'm going to run my fingers down, because I want the wires at this end to be all next to each other. Let me see if I can get you in just slightly closer. Just like that. Come on, Henry. Get your autofocus off there. So, roughly, you want to run your fingers down so all your wires are still side by side all the way down to this end. You don't want any crisscrossing or anything like that. You might have to do it a couple of times just to get the tension, and then just leave a little space at the end, obviously, to put into your swivels, which is what I'm going to do just now. And same thing with your swivel, you want them to go in flat. And next to each other, then fold that over. So here, as I've got them in my swivel just here, I'm pulling this way to keep it nice and taut. And then just very carefully, without messing those wires up as you're going round it, because obviously you want them to stay together and you want them to be consistent. Just lock that in like that, and that should be good. Perfect. So I'm going to put some tension on there just like that. I don't want too much tension, but I need enough tension just to keep those wires nicely situated. I think that needs just a bit more tension on there. Will work. That is perfect. So there's not too much tension, but there's enough tension there. So I'm just going to lock that in. I'm just going to quickly make sure that my drill is in the right way, which I want it to go. And my swivels are turning, which they are. So, boom. So, let me make sure you're still on the same setting, which I want you there, like that. So, see if you can get you zoomed in, or not even zoomed in, focused up. So as you can see there, without the glare on there, all my wires are sitting nice and evenly next to each other. Can I get that to... So that's your best focus just there, all together. Thank you, Gaming Vapor. Yeah. Past week or two, I've got quite a few subscribers. So yeah, it's going well. So as you can see, all those 6 cores are nicely next to each other. And in true my style as well, I will be using a keyring. So with it being a slightly thinner wire as well, I'm going to be using a keyring at this side of my swivel, so just on the end. So I'm just going to carefully run my finger down and just add that keyring at the end here. And this is just as an extra precaution, just to keep everything nice and flat. And then on this end, I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to stick a keyring on there. With it being a thinner wire, it'll be really easy to the wires to fold over each other. So this just helps just slightly more once you get your groove on, like that. So there we are. So 6 cores are all nicely together, side by side. The keyring as an extra precaution, just to keep everything nice and flat, obviously feeding up to the wire. So when it comes to interlock aliens, they are a lot easier using 38 gauge and above, so 38, 40, 42 gauge wires like that. When you start using 36 gauge and interlocked, it can be a bit more tricky and a bit more harder as well. So in this case, I'm not going to use the non-stretch method. I'm going to use the stretch method. I'm going to pre-stretch it. But because I know the amount of wire that I'm using, this way, because I cut my decore in half and do it in 2 sections. So this long piece of decore, cut it directly in half. So I've got less decore. And then with that way as well, I can just stretch it with my hand as well. Just pull my hands apart. So I won't suggest you doing it this way, because obviously my arm span is going to be something completely different to your arm span. So I'm just going to roughly measure how much I've got there, which is thingy. So I need to cut it roughly about 16.5, or just over 16.5 centimeters. And then like that, I'm just going to cut it straight in half. Like that. So now I've got 2 pieces of decore to work with. So 1 piece of decore will roughly do 1 coil, and then the second decore will do the other coil. So I'm just going to roughly measure these to make sure that I've got them right, which I haven't for some reason. Which I'm hoping is not going to cause an issue, because they're not completely level. We'll see how that goes anyway. So with my first piece, I'm just going to pull the ends just so I've got something to hold when I stretch it. Like that. At one end. And then the same thing with this end. So, before I get started, guys, so boom. Let me just zoom you out here so you can see. Come on. Come on, Henry. So here, all I've done here is I've pulled each end. So I've got something to grab onto. And the same with that end. And then because I'm working with this wire, or this amount of wire on a regular thingy, I'm just going to pull with my hands. So I'm just going to pull my hands apart to about there, and hopefully I've got the stretch right. So I'm just going to let that go. I'm hoping I haven't overstretched it, but I do have some more to fall back on if I have. So I'm just going to clean that end up just there by cutting that off. And then very carefully, I'm just going to split this wire at the top, or split the wire somewhere just so I can feed this through, this end through. There we are. Don't have to be exact on a certain wire or anything. I just want to feed it in there. And then, like any other alien, you just want to get your wire situated. Now, I'm hoping I don't need a pinch or anything. I hope I've got it just stretched just nicely and it's just feeding through my wires. So, let me get that up just there. So, there we are. Let me see if I can get that just a little bit better for you. So there we are. So that's how I've got it in there. Like I say, the keyring will keep everything nice and flat and hopefully prevent my wires from folding over each other. So like with any other alien, you're just establishing your position and stuff like that. So I'm just going to just check my wraps. So there we are. So as you can see, I was perfect starting off. So I'm still establishing something here. So as you can see there, that's not working because it's overlapped. So let me just get a few wraps just situated just like that. Just going. So there we are. Let's see if I can keep this going. If not, I've got some stuff to fall back on. So yeah, not perfect. I might just have this over tightened. I just want it to flow through my fingers, all being well. So let's just try this again. And again, I've messed up because I've gone too far. What I need to do is get the feel of it. There we are. It's looking a lot better. I might have to take this off, guys, and start again. Yeah. So that didn't work, that one, which it happens. I just need to establish a good pinch. Hence why I did extra decor. Just for the fact that I might mess up. So I will start again. Like I said, I did get some extra pieces to get me going. So all I'm going to do is start again with that other piece. Like I say, interlock for me at the moment is not good. I can't seem to get the knack down. But If you don't succeed, try again. If at first you don't succeed, try again. So hopefully I'm going to get 2 decent coils hopefully by the end of this. So again, just like I showed you before, I've pulled the ends slightly just so I can stretch it with my hands by just pulling my hands apart. And for some reason when I do my stretch on my interlocks, it's like they don't stretch correctly. So again, I'm just going to split these somewhere just to feed this in. So here we go again. So can I get it through there without dropping it? There we are. So again, just going to pop it up there very carefully, and then I'm going to try again. Just establish if I need to have a pinch or not. Like I say, for me this is a work in progress, because like I say, at one time I could do interlocks, but for some reason I've struggled a bit. So now that I've got a bit of a baseline going, that's a lot better. Move along a bit. And try not to hit that keyring as I'm doing it. Carry on. So again, not perfect. So it started off all right. Started off all right, but like I say, with the stretch on the interlocks, I can never seem to get the stretch right. No, don't start doing that. So I've held it too tight, now I'm so yeah, that's another fail. Another fail. Now it did start off okay, but like I say, it all depends on the stretch. Don't do that. and it can be difficult. Especially using thinner gauge wire like I am now. And again, just pop that back there like that and try again. So you see guys, it doesn't always work for me. I do make mistakes. So I do make mistakes myself. So I roughly want about there in the center again. Right, let's try again. So now that I've dropped that piece, which I didn't want to do, let's try again. So piece number 3. So I'm wondering if it's because I am using my fingers to pull it. I'm going to try pulling it with two pairs of pliers and see how that goes. Because it's like when I'm pulling it with my fingers, it's like I'm getting a slight inconsistency with the stretch, and one wire is sliding through the other wire, hence why it's working for so much down the wire, because I haven't got an even pull on both wires. So I've just used two pliers to pull each end, so it's got a grip of both of those wires. And we'll try with this one now. It looks a lot more consistent. I'm just hoping I haven't overstretched it. So again, I'm just going to split these wires just to get this through. This can be fiddliest part, especially if your eyesight's not good, which mine isn't, hence why I use these goggles. So there we are. Get that locked in there. Perfect. So hopefully I've got an even stretch now with my wire. Too many beers? Probably gaming vapor. But no, I think the problem I'm having is because I'm stretching it with my hands, I'm not holding both cores at each end. So this way I've stretched it with two pairs of pliers holding each end as I stretch it. So hopefully that gives me a nice even stretch across both wires. But we soon shall see. Cheers guys, just a quick refill. Shot of this. Still going good, the Cleater 120. So make sure my drill is in the correct position. Right, let's go into it again, guys. So this does look a lot better. Just want to move that a bit closer just to get a bit of... Now, if I've done this correctly, this should be the same all the way down. Without stretching too much. So, looks like it's not too bad. So, yeah, not perfect. Yeah. Definitely not perfect. I think I've overstretched it. Yeah. I think without breaking what I've just done here. Nice one, Faz. So let's see if I can get away with the ends just being messed up. Yeah. Yeah, I've definitely overstretched this one. So again, so that was down to an overstretch. Down to an overstretch, that one. Probably not the smartest thing doing one that I'm struggling with. But yeah, I want to just get on with it and do it. So let's try again. I've got one more full decore to play about with after this one. So hopefully if I stretch this not as much, it might be a bit better. So again, I'm just going to hold that with that end. Hold this with this end. And again, I'm just going to pull. So hopefully that's not an overstretch. And this one's a bit better. You don't, Johnny. Yeah, true. So it's trial and error. You can't really say how to stretch it because every build is different. Every decore is a different length and stuff like that. It's just something that has to be played with and just perfected. Like I say, at one time I could do interlock aliens, but for some reason at the moment I am struggling with this particular build. But I'm trying not to give up at the first hurdle. because stuff does go wrong even for us that make coils on a regular. So let's try. No. That end out of the way. That's slightly a bit better. Just see how that goes. Slightly a bit better. Let's see if I can keep this one going. So this one's slightly better. And don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. So move along just a little bit and carry on. So far so good, guys. Just moving a little bit at a time. Move it along just a little bit at a time. I don't want those wires collapsing on me right at the last minute. Just take your time, do a little at a time. Adjust when you need to. So far so good. Move it just a little bit more. I hope I'm not going to have an issue just here. What's that? Don't do this. I keep bashing my drill. So again, just carry on. So I'll just carefully keep this going. So it's not perfect by any means, but we are making progress. If I can stop knocking my drill. There we are. I'm just going to have a quick measure. You're still running Stag still, Gaming Vapor. So that's not too bad. I'll do a couple of more wraps and that's enough for one coil. And then I'll get on to the next decor. Just going to do a couple more wraps. So that should be good. So that's my first one after the what? Third attempt? Fourth attempt? Let's just hope the second one goes just as good. Oh, wicked. Sounds good. Gaming vapor sounds really, really good. So that's not too bad. So it's not perfect, but it's still not bad. So let's carry on with the next one. So what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to release this and get a proper thingy on it now. There we are. That's a lot better. So my last interlock decor just there. So if I mess up the second half of this, it might have to be a single coil on this one. So I'm just going to quickly measure what I've got here so I can cut directly down the center. So this one is slightly shorter. So that's 13 and a half. So this one I did for some reason slightly lower. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just chop it slightly shorter like that. Which one is the longest? So I hope I don't screw this one back because this is my last attempt, because that other decor for some reason I didn't do bang on or perfect. So I'm going to do exactly the same here as I did before. Don't want to use them. So again with this one I'm going to grab it and use the pliers because that method seems to be working a lot better. And again, just give that a bit of a stretch. And hopefully that is good. Soon find out. I'm hoping I'm good, but we will soon find out. Because like I say, this is my last attempt because of that other preparation decor didn't come out the length that I thought I had it out at. So let me again just find an opening just here, just to feed this in, which I hope that'll work there, that little opening just there. There we are. Perfect. And then again, I'm just going to nudge it as far there as possible. That giving it a bit more tension. That's good. So I'm just going to move this across, being very careful with my decor. Right. Let's carry on and see what happens. So that's kind of looking good. See if we can keep that going. See if we can keep that going. Just going to move over just a little bit more. There we are. Now I'm going to move you over, guys. I'm sorry I've got you out of camera just there, so you can see what I'm doing. So yeah, second part is going good. So I do apologize, guys, I was just out of camera there. So the second part is going good. Let me get this out of the way just slightly. Get that down. Move that across slightly. So slightly better, not too bad. There we are. Moving across again, just slowly but surely. Not too bad, not great, but not too bad. Carry on. Move that over. Adjust my hand. There we are. Move over again, just slightly. Like I said, guys, I didn't want to give up and keep going, so let's keep on going. Let's get this going a bit more. Move across, slowly but surely. There we are. Just going to move that a bit more across. And then I want to move this end keyring off so I can move this one across a bit more. Keep going. A few more. So I appreciate you all that's in here. Not a problem, Dead No. Thanks for joining, my brother. I appreciate you dropping in. So now that I've sort of got to the end of my deco here at the bottom, I'm just going to adjust my hand a bit to a bit closer. So I'm just going to quickly measure the second piece that I've got, which should be good. But I'll still do a couple of more wraps. Yeah. And that is perfect. Well, not perfect, but that is the build done, guys. Let me just get that out here. Come on, Henry. There we are. So, not perfect after so many attempts, but eventually got there. Not perfect by any means, but still doable. Still doable. Right. What are we on here? So we're on that one. So there we are. There's a bit of a close-up of that. There we are. So that is the interlock. So like I say, not perfect by any means whatsoever. Not perfect. Hence why I haven't rushed to add these to my menu. Come on. Don't start, Henry. Come on. It's about there. So yeah. So like I say, not perfect in any way. I am dealing with 6 cores that are very thin wire and they will fold easily. But yeah, there we are. The interlocked Alien 6 core 30 gauge. Yeah, looking good. Or looking not bad, not looking good. I'm not going to say that they're great great coils, but yeah, better than what I thought they were going to be. Definitely better. So I am going to snip it at this end here. I'm going to snip it at this end here. And then I'm just going to snip it in the middle, or just at the part where I finished and restarted. So I've got 2 pieces of thingy just there, which should be perfect. So, boom. Thank God I didn't mess up on that one, because that one was way too small to do the amount of wire that I want. So with each coil, just so I've got enough wire, or I change my mind and I want to change my diameter, I work on a 10cm stick each, round about that ways. So let me get you there. That looks a bit better. Just like that. So that looks a bit better. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a little bit of housekeeping. Stuff that I don't need out of the way. Take my binoculars off a bit, for a bit. So I'm just going to remove my drill. Just so it's not in the way of what I'm doing. Boom. There we are. So thanks to all of you that are still here. I appreciate you all. So, boom. There we are. So, there we are. Jeevan, thanks for coming in, my brother. Yeah, my shoulder is much better this week, Jeevan. It's a lot better. Yeah, thank you for asking, my brother. Back is it's like that, my back, but it's not as bad as it was last week. So I can't complain, my brother. Thanks for asking, and thanks for joining. So like I said, I am going to be building on the Ocular, getting my building mod. So we'll just move these out the way for now. So there will be very springy as well because the 30 gauge and the 6 cores of them. So it will be a bit springy. So I'm going to get the Ocular on here ready to receive the coils after I've wrapped them. So I'm just going to open them up. So here, because they're like nuts, I don't use a screwdriver. I actually use a hex nut screw on there. Just it's a lot easier. So yeah, there is the deck, just like that. So what I want is a 3mm 5 wrap, which is normally my go-to sort of like diameter and wrap wise. I tend to do the same amount of wraps, and hopefully, if my calculations are correct, it's going to be around the 0.1 markish, maybe above, maybe below. I don't know yet. But it should come to about a point between 0.1 and maybe 0.12, I'm hoping. Oh, that's what it says on Vape tool that I use to do my coils and stuff. So 3mm, I'm just using my normal Coil Master jig, not the windy part. So here are my coils. So you did see a nice close-up. It is twisted, but it will come out in the when I start wrapping. I'm trying to look for the side that's got the most curve on it. So you'll have a side that's flat, and then you'll have a side of the alien that's got a slight curve like that. And the bit that's got the curve in, you want facing up, and the flat side hitting the back of your jig. So I've got the flat side towards facing the rod, and let's do some wrapping. So your first wrap is always normally your most awkwardest wrap, so get that one in nice and tight. So that's one wrap. Second wrap, slightly overlapping but not too much. That's 4, and that is 5. So like I say, it will be a bit flimsy, the wire. So that's one coil just there. Like I say, I do like to have extra just to make sure, so in case I change the amount of wraps that I want, or I wanted to change the diameter, and I've just pulled the wrap and messed it up. Nice one, Faz. Oh, nice one. So I have just messed up this coil by pulling too much. No, it's not going to work like that. So let's see if I can hide that mistake, which I can. So I did pull the wraps slightly, so it's not perfect now, but I have hidden that bit mistake underneath. Nice one, Faz. So there is a mistake I will show you. I won't hide it from you. Just when I was wrapping, the outside wrap pulled a bit. But like I say, I'm not selling these. I'm vaping these myself, so it's not a problem. So I just want to check there. That will be perfect as well. Is that the mistake one? Yeah. So we'll get you a close-up of these. Come on, Henry. There we are. So there we are, the Interlock Aliens 6-core 30 gauge, 5 wrap 3mm diameter. And then when I was wrapping this one, I pulled the alien wrap a bit and got a mistake just there. So that's the mistake I made wrapping it, but I was able to hide it underneath. Shouldn't make it too much of a difference when it comes to vaping it, but yeah. Got some Interlock Aliens just there. Looking nice and sweet. There we are. Trying to get as close as I can without it blurring. There we are. There we are. 2 Interlock Aliens just there. So I want to roughly measure where I need to be. So I'm going to start long and then cut off as I need to go. So I'm going to start with the longest one because obviously there's a bit of depth there as well in the deck just here. Let me get you back in close now. So there is a bit of a gap in the deck. Nice one. There we are. And we're back. There we are. So there is a bit of depth in the post holes just there. So like I say, I'm going to start off at the longest coil leg length I can do. And then I'll measure it, but because the coils sit slightly low, I want to be able to raise them as well. Which I think that might actually work. Let me just pop that in there. So I am going to go just a little bit lower. So I'm going to go to 8mm. I want to have a bit of extra space there, but not too much. Want a bit of extra space there. Just to manipulate and obviously pull that coil up. So yeah, so 8. So sorry, 8. So I think 7mm leg length should work perfectly. And I'll just measure again just to make sure. Just want them sticking out just like that. Yeah, that should be perfect. 7mm leg length, it should be perfect. So I'll do the same with this one. Get them in there. So the trickiest thing now with these is to get them mounted in both coils, both end at the same time. And I probably will have to maybe stack them. Probably will have to stack them on the legs on top of each other. But we'll see how that goes. So what I like to do is get the posts sort of near to where I want them to be, just while I adjust. And the same with the other side. I'll adjust as I need to. So this can be a tricky one if you haven't got two coiling rods. It can be slightly difficult to get them bang on, because they will both move at the same time. Which is roughly about there. So I'm just going to carefully start tightening these down now, evenly, just so I don't distort the coil, just to get them both on there like that, which should be good. Making sure I don't need to pull any legs out. So that's more or less perfect, guys. Hungry Hippo, thanks for joining, my brother. Today I have built a 6-core 30 gauge interlock alien. So Alta Rat 40 gauge, 6-core 30 gauge, all NI80, my brother. So now that I'm more or less where I need it to be, and I'm sure, and I'm building it on the ocular as well, my brother. So just carefully clamp those down nicely. So I'm doing it even. And making sure I've got good connection just there. Grab the coil just slightly. And all I want to do is I just want to raise them slightly. So I do want to push that over slightly and raise it up. So I want to raise it up so that the airflow hits underneath the coil. So I will just do a quick measurement just there. So that should be more or less perfect just there. Yeah, definitely going to be spicy on a mech. So I'm just going to pull that up slightly. That's where I want it. So same thing I'm going to do with this is just move it over slightly and bring it up. And up. There we are. Want to make sure they're all level, which they are. That is perfect. And that is perfect. Or it's perfect for me. There's no wonk on there. Where did I put it? There we are. So I'm just going to very carefully release that. So I'm going to zero out my mod. So it's 0. Let's get them on there. Is this a new coil? Yes. So it's a 0.11 now. So it's either going to raise a bit or stay where it is. I have had a few coils that have stayed at the same resistance I've fired it at. So I'm going to start at 20 watts to begin with. Start nice and slow. There is 6 cores in there, so I want to be very, very careful not to weld those cores together as I'm heating it up. So heat it nice and low and take your time. And with any luck, we might get some nice colours as well. So I'll keep my rod just there, just in case I need it. Have a quick vape. Tasty. Right. Let's get some heat through these guys. Hopefully I'll stay in camera as well. Making sure my spacing is just right. I just want to keep everything nice, but I just want to pull it a bit out. It's a lot better. Just going to pull it out slightly. That is a lot better. I just don't want it too close to there. So let's get some heat through these guys. So like I say, I'm going to go slow. Just slowly pulsing the button. Getting some heat through there. And you'll eventually start seeing some colour come through there. So that one's heating up nicely. This one's taking a bit of time, which I seem to be having a problem with at the moment. One coil heating and the other one not. So that one's heating nicely. So let me just quickly check legs. So that's definitely warm. Just make sure I've got good solid connection there on both sides again. So that did tighten up just a little bit, but I don't want my RDA stuck on there. Right, let's try again. Get some heat passing through. I am still in here, so perfect. So this one is taking a bit of time. Let me crank up that wattage. I'm going to crank it up to 30. So I'm just going to give these a little bit of a stretch. I don't know what's going on with my coils at the moment, but past couple of builds, just one side's been heating up and the other one hasn't. Let's try again. That's looking a bit better now. And it hasn't needed much persuasion, to be fair. They've more or less heated up nicely straight away. Yeah. So I haven't really had to pulse or pinch any of that, or strum really. They seem to be heating up nicely straight out of the bat. So all I'm checking for now is hot spots anywhere. So I've got a slight hot spot just underneath there. So I'm just going to give that a slight strum. Got some nice blues in there and purples. So I do have a bit of a hot spot. So if you knew they're a bit like lightning bolts in your coils, you just want to work them out. That's looking a lot better. So is that one. That's looking a lot better. So these have heated up straight away, good out the bat. So I'm just going to bump up that wattage a bit more. That's looking good. So is that. A little bit of a hot spot just there on that side. What about this side? That's looking good. Going to bump it up a bit more. Just doing light pulses. Just looking out for hot spots and stuff like that. If you do get any, just work them out. So I want to pump it up to around about how much I'm going to be more or less vaping at it through a mech. Boom. There we are. So they're heating up perfectly. So I'm just going to unscrew that, let it cool down. I'm going to zero out my mod again just so I can get a final resistance. Don't touch the coil. But yeah, that is them all heated up. I'll get you a close up. Boom. So there we are. That's them all heated up. Looking good. So I'm just going to let them cool down. Have a quick vape. I'll go on to the bonzer. Blow some vapor on them. That'll help cool them down. So like I say, a couple of days ago, I did do a 6-core 32 gauge alien in here. So 32 gauge Kenthal, wrapped in 40 gauge, 3mm 8 wraps, 0.37. Nice and toasty. and spicy. Don't know, a bit weird on the flavour. I don't know if that's because of the Kenthal wire in there, and I haven't vaped Kenthal for a bit. But you do notice the slight difference in the wire. That hit me straight on the arse, that. There we are. So, I'm going to screw that on. They're nice and cool now. Let's check final resistance. So we've come out at 0.14 ohms. So slightly higher than I predicted. But that's good. That's not bad at all. Right, let's get this wicked. So I am going to turn the wattage down just in case I accidentally press the button. Which that does sometimes happen when I'm doing it and moving it around and moving it around and moving it around. So I'll just turn it down. So I'm going to be using the same cotton I've been using quite a few streams now. Just some ordinary Muji Japanese cotton. There seems to be working for me at the moment. So that's what I'm using. This is already a piece that I've been using. But when you get a new piece out, it'll have a hard top layer, hard bottom layer. Just peel that off so you get the nice fluffy stuff in the center. Thank you, Hungry Hippo. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to just agitate the cotton and pull the fibers apart. Like so. This will help with the wicking and stuff like that. Boom. And I'm just going to roll it. Try not to touch the inside. I want that to be nice and fluffy through the coil. Twist the end. Ouch. So, boom. Thread that through there. And that is just perfect. Just the right amount of resistance I want in there. Perfect. Let's see if I can replicate it on this side with the same. Just going to agitate some cotton. So, boom. Let's see if I can get more or less the same amount of cotton, which is about there. I'm hoping. And then very carefully roll it up. And like I say, I try not to touch the inside part because that's the bit that I want nice and fluffy in that coil. And again, that is perfect. Right amount of resistance I want in there. Perfect. That looks good to me. So, I just need to grab my small scissors. Don't forget you need some small scissors. So, I'm just going to roughly eyeball it first. I don't know where that came from. So I'm roughly going to eyeball it. I just want it touching the bottom of that deck. I'm trying to stay in camera view as well. I'm not going to really thin it. I'm just going to agitate that cotton, open it up, help with that wicking. Same with this side, I'm just going to agitate it a bit, give it a final trim like that, and then just tuck it into that deck, leaving a gap underneath the coil obviously, and that's perfect. That's just touching the bottom of the deck, which is what I wanted. Same on that side, that's perfect. Right, same on that. I'm just going to roughly eyeball it to roughly the same as what I cut the other side, which is about there, like that. Again, I'm just going to agitate it, just agitate those fibers, open them up a bit, and then again give it just a final trim on the end, and then again just swoop it into that deck. And the same on this side, just going to do the same, just swoop it into that deck, keeping it nice and fluffy, keeping a gap underneath the coils for airflow. And that is looking good for me. Perfect. So the juice that I'm going to use is I'm going to use some Kingston's Cola. This just reminds me of decant cherry cola, hence why I've been vaping it. Reminds me a bit of back in the day, one of the first juices I started with when I started vaping, or first started vaping. So let's get these tails all juiced up. Get some cotton soaking in on these tails. To begin with. That looks perfect. Right, so now I'm going to prime the coils without knocking everything over. Now I'm going to just prime the coils by dropping some juice on them and hitting that fire button just to draw that juice in. Pump that up a bit more. Want to make sure all that cotton on the inside of the coil is nicely juiced up. And that's looking good. So there we are. That's looking good. That is looking nice. So let's get the top cap on there. So I want that fully open to start off with. I'm gonna pop that on there. So what I'm going to run it on is a pretty old Mac now. Do you even know? I haven't tried home brews yet. There's so many juice, Jeevan, that I want to try, and I just don't get around to getting it because I end up buying other stuff. So I believe that was the drip tip for this ocular. So pop that on there, or try and pop it on there. There we are. So yeah, that is the drip tip that did come with the ocular. So what I'm going to be running it on is a Mac, pretty old Mac, or old school Mac. I am going to just quickly do a Google search. To see what year roundabout I'm talking here. This is a clone. It's not an OG, although I do have an OG one, but that never gets really used. I could try and keep that in pristine condition. So you're looking around about 2014, 2015 when this mech was brought out, or the original, the OG were brought out. All right. So Jeevan, I.MTL. I sub home. I like to, when I'm using dual coils on a low build, I like to be around about at that between 007 and 0.11 ohms. And then if I'm doing series, between a 0.3 and a 0.5 is where I like mine. But MTL is just not my speed for some reason. Never got on with it. So the mech that I'm going to be using, or the clone mech that I'm going to be using, is the Manhattan. So this is an unbranded Manhattan. I have cleaned it. It does have a pin. It's not a hybrid. Magnetic switch. Now there's a bit of a story behind this one as well. This belonged to the friend that actually got me into the Manhattan. Back when I first started vaping and first started getting into mechs. This was his back in the day, back in 2014, 2015. So it's an unbranded Manhattan, so definitely a clone, but basically the same thing. So you've got a top cap like that. So it's a coated stainless steel. So with these you used to get different size pins, a small, medium and a large, depending on what RDA you were using to make that connection. Nice and clean. I did clean this up today. And then your standard Manhattan switch. That came with your center pin just like that. That was attached to your button. And you've got a big heavy duty magnet there and then one in your switch. So it's no springs, it's all magnets and a nice good resistance from it as well. So that's what I'm going to be using, 18650. I haven't used these in a while. But yeah, very good mech. I was a big Manhattan fan back in the day. And these are 25, this mech is 25 millimeters in diameter as well. So just gonna pop that on there like that, just without a battery, just to begin with. I'm just gonna have a quick look at where my airflow is, which I want it about there. So yeah, that's what it looks like on the Manhattan. So I don't know if any of you guys have been vaping as long as me or remember the Manhattan. But yeah, that is the Manhattan. And I do have a few clone Manhattans. And I do have one authentic Manhattan, which I don't use. And some Foo Hattans as well, which was the clone of the Manhattan, the Foo Hattan, the Fuck You Hattan. But yeah, I think that looks quite nice together. Yeah. So for me, Jeevan, I do RDL and DL. I prefer. So I've got some freshly charged 18650 batteries, some Molicel P28s, which I highly recommend. They're really good batteries. And I do have an ODB mashup booby wrap, similar to my mat that I have that's under this brown bit. So a mashup battery there. All nice. Wraps nicely intact as well. So I'm going to pop the battery in there. I'm going to run it positive way up. Screw that down. Make sure I'm getting a connection, which I am. Getting some. There we are. Perfect. That is nice. So I am going to. I will get you back to FaceTime, guys. I do want to close that airflow off one notch and just readjust. So there is a slight ramp up time to that. But still hitting good. So there's just a slight ramp up time. Let me get some more juice on there. Great flavour, great flavour. Getting good flavour from that. So there we are. Get you positioned roughly where I want you. So yeah, the Manhattan with the Ocular RDA on there by Twisted Messes and Vape. Got some 6-core 30 gauge NI80 interlock wrapped with 40 gauge. Sitting all right. There's slightly a bit more ramp up time to it. But as you can see, still hitting good so many years later. This Mac. So with a slightly lower build and maybe not an interlocked, it will ramp up a bit better. Still getting good power, good flavour. As I did point out, I do have the airflow cut off one hole and just 2 holes open. Just like that. Nice. Really nice. Flavour on the RDA, can't complain one bit. There is a slight ramp up time on there, not really bothered about that. Could it hit harder? Yeah, probably could. Yeah, nice. Delicious. Absolutely delicious, guys. And that's with the cherry cola from Kingston. Like I say, it's nothing special of a cherry cola. It just reminds me of decant cherry cola from back in the day. So yeah, happy with that. Happy with the build. I know the build got a bit drawn out because I kept messing up the stretch on the interlock, but eventually got there. Thank God I did those extra decals before the live stream just to fall back on. So, does anybody remember the Manhattan? Anybody that's watching, do you remember the Manhattan mech mod from back in 2014-ish, 2015? Originally made by RetroVapes. Still hitting hard. And to say that this is not the one that I would usually use, I would usually use this one. This is one that I used. This one's a Foo Hatton, but it's come on, but it's a white one. Come on, Henry. Come on, Henry. Let's try again. So yeah, I would normally use this Foo Hatton, which is white, but it's white coated copper. So it's copper. That is the one that got a lot of use back in the day. This was my favourite one out of all the ones that I used. Probably mainly because it were all copper. But yeah, that's a Foo Hatton. So the clone of the Manhattan, the fuck you Hatton. If you know, you know. Don't know how many people know why the fuck you Hatton came out. Still kicking ass. Say that's a stainless steel tube. Still kicking ass. And when I got this off my friend, everything was stuck. Top cap button was stuck, and with a bit of persuasion, I did eventually get that top cap off and the switch part off, and was able to give it a really, really good clean as well. And yeah, back to working. That's why I like mechs, because if you can get them open and cleaned, they still run years and years on. A lot better than a regulated. I do have regulated devices, but once they go, they can go. At least with a mech mod, you can polish it up and it's working, stick a battery in. As long as you know what you're doing with a mech mod, they go on forever. Can't complain about that. RDA is still good, still great flavour on there. I've got a bit of seepage and spillage coming out of there. Over dripping. Yeah, can't complain about that one bit. Now, what I remember is this top cap on this does get hot really, really quickly. Hence why I would run a slightly different drip tip on there. Let me just switch it up. See if it'll do better with a 21700 battery. So I'm gonna just quickly pop it on the heavy hitter. Should have put it on the heavy hitter, but I have used the heavy hitter in other live streams. It does look good on the heavy hitter as well. So here's with the 21700 battery. Does perform better with a 21700 battery. Only slightly, not much. There is a bit of a ramp up time with it, which is not much of a problem. It's still hitting nice and hard. So yeah, not much difference. So we'll actually put it back on the Manhattan. No issues with this Manhattan. One bit. I don't think I've ever had a problem with any of my Manhattan clones or the Foo Hattans. They've all performed extremely well. Pop that on the side just to charge. So guys, does anybody remember the Manhattan or even the Ocular? Tidy up here. No, people just still lurking. So as you can see, guys, in the comments, I did pin a chat to Faz's Coils WhatsApp group. So I do sell coils. If you want, join that group. If you want to buy coils, even if you're not buying coils or not buying coils straight away, get in that group. It's a nice little group. We have a good chat, share our devices, old school devices, stuff like that, coil pictures and stuff like that. Like I say, get into that group. Most of my coils are made to order, so you can choose how you like your variant. I do have some Fralians and some normal 26, 36 gauge aliens ready to go. I have started doing wire shots now, so you choose your build or your variant of build. You get it in an 8-inch stick. So my first coil wire shots have gone to Switzerland on this occasion. They went to Johnny, so I don't know if he's still in the chat. So he should be getting his in about a week, maybe, depending on how quick they get it over there. He's got some wire shots. And like I say, wire shots, you just choose your build or your variant of build, providing that I've got the wire. Currently NI80, I will be adding N90 for mech builds on my next coil drop is what I'll be doing. And like I say, I do the normal, your aliens, your staggered fuse Claptons, your multi-core stags, your staggered frame staples and stuff like that, Fralians and stuff are all ready to go and stuff like that. I will eventually add interlock aliens when I get a bit more practice on them, because it's hit and miss at the moment. I can either do them straight away or it just takes me loads of attempts to do it. So they will definitely get eventually. So all being well, it should be here on Thursday. Perfect. So I'll be waiting to hear your feedback on them as well. Obviously in the group, like I say, get in the group, because you'll get stuff, you'll know about stuff about coils and stuff before they hit social media. And there's also stuff in there that won't make social media. Bit of behind the scenes, what I'm doing, that won't get on thingy, that's only going to be posted in the group. So like I say, get yourself in that group. So like I say, coils are ready. Just contact me, tell me what you want, how you want them. I'll give you a price, and boom. As long as you're in the UK, your standard packaging, 24-hour tracked Royal Mail is £4 for postage and packaging. If you're abroad, it'll be slightly more. I'd have to get a quote for you. And like I say, if you're one of these countries that has to pay an import charge or anything, I will also look after you as well. So guys, I think it's going to be a short one today. It's been slightly quicker because I've got a quite slightly quicker drill. I want to keep things fresh. I don't want to start building something else. I want to leave it for a different stream for maybe next week, so I can try something different, keep it fresh. Also, if you're in the group and you've got some suggestions of me building some coils on the live, get it in that group as well, and I'll try my best to get that done for you. I'm trying to change it up just slightly, so I'm not doing more or less the same stuff. Hence why I've done a multi-core with a higher gauge wire, just to see how that goes. And to be fair, that's quite nice that these higher gauge multi-cores are inspired by handmade coils, because they do a lot of multi-core higher gauge wire builds. Hence why I've started trying some of them. So there are in testing at the moment. If it's something you'd like to see on the menu, obviously let me know. Get in that group, let me know. And like I say, as long as I've got the wire, you can choose your variant, how many cores you want, what wrap you want, what gauge wrap you want, what gauge cores you want, and stuff like that. Whether you want what diameter ID you want in a diameter, how many wraps you want, or if you just want to do it yourself, the wire shots are also available to you as well. And you can mix and match them as well. The more you buy, the more you save as well. So if you want to put in a big order, let me know what you want and I will sort you out. The wire shots, the more you buy, work out slightly cheaper than they come pre-wrapped and everything. But if also you want them pre-wrapped and ready to go for you to just drop into your RTA or RDA, you can let me know that as well. Just let me know your idea, how many wraps you want, and I can do that as well. So many different variation, guys, so many different ways to do it. I'm trying to accommodate to as many people as I can for their needs, different needs. I do MTL coils as well. So it's not like, even though I don't vape MTL, I do MTL coils as well, which I do MTL aliens and staggered fuse Claptons. But if you just want a normal, just fuse Clapton MTL, I can also do them as well. As long as I have the ability to do it and the wire to do it, I can do the build. Yeah, other than that, if you like the content or you're new, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. YouTube doesn't like us that much, us vapors, so If you want to share the video to somebody that might help them. I'm here every week without fail. Unless something comes up, I will cancel. But I'm here every week also making my coils. That's what makes my content a bit different. So even if you're getting into making coils or you don't want to buy pre-made coils, I will show you the coil and how I've made it. Check out my other videos, my previous live streams as well. There's other coil builds in them. You can watch them and learn off them. I do get you in close and try and get you into as much detail as I can without confusing you when it comes to aliens and multi-cores and adding a wire, taking a wire, doing your decores off different wires. But if you have any questions, like I say, get into Faz's Coils WhatsApp group, because then you can ask me questions there as well. Even if you're making coils yourself, I will help you guys. You know, if you're in that group, if you don't want to buy, you know, I'll pass my knowledge on as best as I can. Am I forgetting anything? No, I don't think I am. I do post on social media, not as much, but I do post on social media. With me making coils now, it makes me slightly a bit more busy to post. But like I say, if you're in that group, anything that gets announced straight away, you'll know in that group before, as well as some behind the scenes activity as well. And yeah, that's it, guys. I'm going to leave it there. I know it's a short one. I normally go on a bit longer, but like I say, with the coil builds going a bit faster and everything like that with the new drill and everything, I want to keep it nice and fresh and have something different for other live streams as well, and try and get suggestions off you guys, whether you're on the replay or in the coil or in the WhatsApp group. Give me suggestions of some coils that you want me to build as well. And as long as I can build them, I will do them as well. Or if I need to practice, I'll try and practice as much as I can around my normal family life as well, or my everyday life. Yeah, I'll keep it there, guys. I won't waffle on too much, so I'll leave it there, guys. Thank you all for joining. Big shout out to the hashtag replay crew as well. You're all beautiful. And I appreciate all your love and support from each and every one of you, whether it's people that follow me on social media, watch these live videos, the people that subscribe, part of the WhatsApp group who buy coils and all that. Love you all. Doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a like, a comment, a join to the live stream, or just a kind word. That means more to me than anything, you know, that I'm helping somebody. So yeah. Won't waffle on anymore. I'll try not to waffle on anymore. Anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. Thanks for joining. I'll see you next week, 8 p.m. UK time on YouTube as clockwork. And I will see you guys very, very soon. Don't forget, guys, vape safe, love and respect. And I appreciate and love you all. And I will see you guys on the next one. Let me just check. Dion, you're welcome. Thanks for joining. Johnny, thanks for joining. I appreciate you all coming. Thank you all, and I will see you guys on the next one. Big love, guys.